wait 1 second. Professor Ty is here, but first let me introduce you to our paper reviewers this evening. I'm pleased to say that Albie Amankona is with us, co-founder of the Conservatives Against Racism for Equality. Albie, good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much. How are you? You good?
Yes, very well, thank you. Very well. Enjoying the long weekend. It's only Sunday, so we've got tomorrow to go.
Well, it's weather, isn't it? The weather makes the weekend, I think. If it had been pouring with rain or miserably cold as it's been over the last few weeks, don't know if we'd all be enjoying it as much. But hey, let's be thankful for what we've got. And I'm pleased to say that in the second of our listener profiled paper reviewers, we've got Ben in Clacton with us. Hello, Ben. How are you?
Hello, Dotun. All right.
Good to have you with us. So, first question. Professor Ty wants to come in on this conversation, by the way, so make sure you sharpen your thoughts, gentlemen. First question. The Archbishop of Canterbury, on the front page of the Sunday Times, Archbishop will ask millions to pledge allegiance to their king. Albie, will you be pledging your allegiance to King Charles III?
Yeah, I think why not? I think it sounds like a really nice idea, actually. Of course, what happened at the last coronation is that it was the peers, the hereditary peers, were asked to pay homage to the then Queen, whereas the idea this time is they're not asking the peers, the aristocrats, to do it, not only them, they're asking the whole nation to do it. And I think it's a much more inclusive and modern way of making people in the country feel like they're part of this historic moment, King Charles III's coronation.
Ben in Clacton, will you be pledging your allegiance to King Charles III?
Yes, I will. I love Charles. He was forced into the marriage with Diana. It was very tragic. He didn't want to, and I think he was forced into it by the family themselves because they wanted an heir or heirs to the throne. I think that's what happened, and I've, to a certain extent, I feel sorry for both of them. I love Diana, and it was terrible. I felt terrible when she died in that accident. But Charles, I've always liked Charles since I was a child. Yes, there's no harm in doing it at all. I mean, the royal family could do a lot more than they actually do for the people, and I hope that develops with William.
Professor Ty in Clapham, will you be pledging your allegiance to King Charles III?
Yes, we do. When the national anthem is sung, people will stand up. It's not Charles that you're having the allegiance to. It's what he represents, the monarchy.
No, yeah, but hang on. This is what the Archbishop is saying. I'll ask millions to pledge allegiance to their king. So it is Charles as well. It's not just the monarchy. It is personally, the personification of the monarchy is King Charles, isn't it?
This Charles, the king we're talking about, is Charles Windsor. So Charles the Third is the title of the 6-month-old monarchy. So if you could be standing for the national anthem, you already played an allegiance to the king. The queen is gone. You know what's so funny about this? The generation that precedes us, they're very vindictive. They don't have a forgiving mind. And then, just like in the Bible, because you're in a revival mode today when you're singing your Christian song earlier. So can any of them that's never seen cast the first stone?
I don't know. I will ask them. Let's go back to Albie for a second. Stay with us, Professor Ty. Your wisdom is very valuable to the programme, as you know. Albie, what about what Professor Ty said there, that actually you're pledging allegiance not to the personification of the monarchy in King Charles III, but you're pledging allegiance to the institution. Is that what you're pledging allegiance to, essentially, or to this fellow who's also the king?
But I would argue that King Charles and the institution of monarchy are not two separate things. Charles Mountbatten Windsor is King Charles III. He is the head of the monarchy. He's our head of state. I don't think you can just say, oh, I'm pledging allegiance to the institution of the monarchy and not also be pledging allegiance to His Majesty the King. The two things are fundamentally intertwined.
Umbilically tied, Professor Ty?
No, because what happened is this. He's the king, in charge of part of the Commonwealth. It's not only our king. There's still other people in the country. It's just because I don't think we always look at the bigger picture in this country when we speak or when we think about issues. Now, for example, the old world eye will be on us, and some people are threatening that they're going to be marching, they're going to be demonstration. If I have a power, which they do, the Westminster Council, for example, can use an emergency power just for 3 days, which is called, what do they call that power then?
Is it the lock everybody up who's not for it power? Is that the one?
You don't need to lock them up, but you can use what they call a local kind of a power just to ban for the 3-4 days that nobody should moan or march around in West.
No, but they'll still demonstrate, won't they? They don't care about you banning them or whatever. They'll still demonstrate. So it's going to need more than just some local, law, for a bylaw even for.
That's a bylaw.
Yeah. But I'm saying it's going to need more than that to stop people protesting. Is it? Are you not going to have to detain them, the known troublemakers? Really?
No, you don't detain them.
No?
The bylaw would just simply specify that, but just like in the lockdown, they didn't detain anybody.
No, but they do lock them up if they broke the lockdown. Yeah, I mean, apart from one particular policeman that we all know. Let's leave that to one side. Let's get your thoughts, though, on this as well. Stay with us, Professor Ty. Ben in Clacton, is it when you swear allegiance to the king, are you swearing allegiance to something separate from the monarchy or not?
Well, if you have a different situation where you have a president, there's all sorts of problems connected with that. Charles and William and the succession, I think they'll do good for the country and the people of the country, especially with William's ideas about using the Duchy of Cornwall's houses to house some of the homeless families that are in this country. And there's lots of those. And that is a development which I wrote to William 2 years ago, and again a year ago.
You wrote to him? Well, did he reply? He hasn't got time to be replying to the likes of you and I.
No, he didn't.
Has he?
But he came up with a similar idea as I was proposing. Was that they could use the land.
But you're not saying that he nicked your idea, are you? You're not actually saying that he nicked your idea, are you?
Well, no.
Okay.
I mean, I don't care who does it, as long as somebody does it. It's just somebody's got to do it because of the misery caused to the families in this country. The housing crisis is terrible, and people are dying.
Okay, but remember the question was if you're swearing allegiance then to the king or the monarchy, or is it the same thing? You started off talking about the presidency. American children swear an oath to the flag, to the Constitution, not to the here tomorrow, gone here today, gone tomorrow president, even or here tomorrow, maybe gone today president, whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? They're swearing allegiance to the institution, not to the person, aren't they?
Well, I just like the man. I've always liked the man, and good luck to him.
Yeah,
and
fair enough.
I hope he lives long enough.
Are you swearing allegiance, though, to the monarchy?
Yes,
okay.
Because of the fact that there's nothing else that we can have in place of the monarchy. I think the monarchy should have some more power to give opinions on certain issues to deal with poverty, etc.
Do you agree with that, Albie? Albie, the monarchy stands between us and whatever the future might hold, catastrophe or wonderful happy times. Is the monarchy literally the king, the anointed of God?
Look, I think there are probably few people that still believe the ancient traditions that the king was appointed by God thousands of years ago, and there's this family who is so much more important than everyone else, and that's why they're on the throne. It's a system that was created in a very different time, but it still performs a very important function today, whether or not you believe those old tales or not. It brings the British people a lot of happiness. It performs a very important function around the world. They raise millions of pounds for charity. They're housing.
They cost
homeless
us
people,
even
as
many
your
more
other
millions,
guest.
I'd have thought. They cost us millions, mate, if not a billion or two. Do you know what I mean? You can't say one side without saying the other.
Of course, I think both sides have to be taken into account. But I think on balance, when you ask people, do you think that the monarchy is a force for good or bad? Is it value for money, the taxpayers' money that goes into the monarchy? Yes, this citizen thinks it is value for money.
Okay, let's ask the people of this system. 0800 731 2000. Our paper reviewer this evening, Albie Amankona, says, well, this system values the monarchy as a force for good, on the whole. Do you? 0800 731 2000. Nearly got caught out there, but this is evening time, not morning time. As well, you know, Ben in Clacton. I knew you'd laugh at that. I knew you'd laugh at that. I knew you'd laugh at that. Professor Ty, final word from you. Is the monarchy, is the king the anointed of God or not?
Well, he's the head of all faith. People didn't see the subtle changes that King Charles actually brought to the system. Rather than be the head of Church of England, he pronounced himself out head of all faith, and
is that possible?
If you look at the way in which all the thing was set out, he's actually the head of all faith, which is very unique.
Yeah, but is he the anointed of God? I'll get onto the head of all faiths in a moment, I promise you. Is he the anointed of God, yes or no?
Yeah, if his mother can be construed to be the anointed of God, why not him?
Oh, wait, hang on a second. Do you have to bear the sins of the father and the mother and also the goodness of the father and the mother? Do you have to bear that as a cross yourself? I thought you were very divisible from those who went before you. Or do you?
What you must understand these days, when a son is behaving very well, father is always very proud.
Of course.
And say, that is my son.
Of course.
Of course, that's just the way it is. Charles is a very good man.
He's the anointed of God, and appreciate that, Professor Ty. Can't do without your wisdom on this programme. 0800 731 2000. Is King Charles then the anointed of God? Just on that note, Albie first, and then I'll come to you, Ben, I promise. Albie first. Is it possible to be the defender of all faiths, as King Charles is styling himself as, and none at all as well, by the way?
Of course, one of his primary functions as the king of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is to be one of the leaders of the Anglican Church. But I also think it's important, in the decades since the last coronation, we've had huge numbers of migrants from other parts of the world bringing their different religions, faiths and beliefs to the country. And I think it's important that as the country becomes more diverse, the monarchy finds a way to appeal to all the different parts of the population. And that is what King Charles is trying to do when he says he wants to be defender of the faiths. He wants to make the Jews, the Muslims, the Hindus, the Sikhs, and all of the others feel included in this very important ceremony as well. And I think that is an admirable goal.
And Ben in Clacton, is it possible, though? I mean, from what Albie is saying, I'll be the defender of all faiths, but primarily the Anglican faith. So they're in the lead. They're the ones that occupy my mind the most. And remember, I am the anointed of God. Is it possible then to equally be the defender of all faiths and even none?
I think it's a step forward because democracy doesn't discriminate. It shouldn't discriminate against any religion. And all religions should be counted because we are a multicultural society and therefore is moving with the times, which is great. And that's what should happen. Democracy should look after the rights of people to have a religion. I'm not religious myself, I'm agnostic. But I would fight for everybody's rights to believe what they want to believe. And that's part of democracy and freedom.
The king is going to be the defender of your agnosticism as well, by the way.
Yes, why not? Why not?
Now, onto a different subject. This is on the BBC News website, and feel free to call, by the way, on whether you're going to take an oath or a pledge of allegiance to the King. Let me hear you on that one. But this is the other subject. On the BBC website this week, just a couple of days ago, it says, the Modern Cockney Festival concluded recently with the dialect being officially recognised as a community language by an East London council. Yeah. But what about Cockneys? Are they a spent force in the narrative of this great city of ours or not? Tracy is in Bedfordshire. Hello, Tracy.
Yeah. Good evening, sweetheart. Yes, they are. Cockneys through and through.
Yeah.
Do you want me to start singing?
Yeah.
Give me a London girl every time.
Yes. Why
no,
not?
Definitely.
Yeah.
We are born and bred in Lambeth.
Yes.
Brixton.
Yeah. South London Cockneys count. South London Cockneys count. You know that.
Oh, definitely. Brilliant place. We had our times. We had bad times, but we had bloody good times.
And did you do the Lambeth Walk? With your thumb?
I done the Lambeth Walk on my son's wedding, and when my third son, when you got married, and I never met any of my. No, in fact, sorry, it was my daughter marrying my son-in-law, and I never met the family before, and I got them all up on that dance floor doing the Lambeth Walk, and do you know what? It was amazing.
I'm sure it
Everyone was up, raising their hands and their knees, doing the London Walk, yay! And it broke the ice. It was absolutely brilliant. It was fantastic, and I will never forget it. But London... Sorry.
No, you go on.
No, it was fantastic, and it broke the ice, and it was just, it was just lovely. But I'm sure all the Londoners out there listening, they're probably thinking, "Oh my God, that." No. It's true, but yeah, I had good times in London and Cockney up the apple and pears, and
yes, indeed.
all them types of things. You can't be a good old Cockney. They're the best people.
Well. What does it mean to be a Cockney then? For those who don't know and are wondering, what is she on about?
To be a Cockney, well, it's just, I don't know, it's how we probably were obviously born in London, and going to the pie mash shops and all, and mixing with the people.
How many pie mash shops do you think there are left in London? There aren't very many. There used to be one on every other corner.
There was a good one in Brixton.
On Cold Harbour Lane. The one in Brixton was on Cold Harbour. I remember.
You're touching my spine now.
Well,
exactly.
I've been in there. I've been there for a pie and mash with liquor and all. Believe me.
Oh, jelly deals and the whole thing. Yeah.
And it stayed there. It must have carried on there till about 20 years ago, I think. I haven't seen it there certainly for 15 years or so. I think they've turned it into some other...
I think that went. No, I do believe there's one on Wandsworth Road somewhere, but I don't know.
See, you're struggling. We're struggling, aren't we?
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it, really?
Well, it's like pearly kings and queens. Where can you find a pearly king and queen? Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, when was the last time you bumped into a pearly king and queen? Well, you laugh.
Well, sorry, sweetheart, you've got to laugh nowadays.
Of course you got to. Of course you got to. Do you not feel like you're part of a dying breed, though, in being a Cockney?
Well, no, not necessarily, because I've moved out from London quite a while ago, but obviously I've still got family. Like my sister now, Maxine, she's in Streatham, and we speak every other day, and it's like she's saying, "Well, sis, what's going on?" And she's keeping me updated with what's going on. Anyway, she'll go to a pie mash shop. I don't know where she's going, but she's living the life. Obviously, she's living the life better than me. I do miss it. I really do miss it. I like going to London. I've not been there in a while. But obviously, coming out of London, now I'm in the country. I'm living in topsy-turvy now, and it's remote as you can get. I miss London. I miss the people. it's just you know, it was what it was. But
London misses you.
London is a good place. But
London misses you. London misses you in particular. You're the lifeblood, the heart and soul of the capital. This is the first time.
Shakespeare Road, where we were born.
In Brixton. In Brixton.
In Brixton, yeah, Shakespeare Road.
Yeah.
In them days, 1965.
And do you know they call it Poets' Corner nowadays because you got Shakespeare Road, you got Milton Road, you got some other poets.
Railton Road and all the others up there.
Exactly.
Oh, you know, some good memories. We used to leave our doors open.
Oh, those were the days. You couldn't, and this is no disrespect. You
couldn't buy a house there now for love nor money.
I was about to say, you couldn't buy a peeing pot in Shakespeare's Road for love or money. And I'm just being polite there. You could not buy a pot to wee in on Shakespeare's Road. Honestly, I swear to goodness.
Don't you mean the pot to wee in?
It's all posh down there now, mate. Where have all the Cockneys gone? So where have all the Cockneys gone then? Have they gone to where you are out in Bedfordshire?
No, they're all webbed feet where I live. They're not.
There's a lot of them in Essex. There's a lot of them in Essex for whatever reason.
I think they've gone to the Isle of Wight, but I'm not too sure.
Tracy, it's a lost world or a vanishing world is a better way of putting it. I'm going to have to talk to you again. Call up any time. You've been the life and soul of tonight's show. And I thank you very much, Tracy in Bedfordshire. Cockney true and true and true and true, as she says. What does that mean to you, Ben in Clacton? What does it mean to be a Cockney true through and through and through and through for you?
Well, I got married to my wife, Jane, in 1972 when Ted Heath was around and all the lights were going out every 5 minutes. And we had the reception for the wedding. And they were going to have hot food, and the lights went out, and all the electrics went off, and we couldn't have hot food. We had to have sandwiches, and we got some candles. And my wife was a Cockney, and she had a big family who were all Cockneys, and they found a piano, and they started to play the piano for 2.5 hours, and the lights came back on again. But during that 2.5 hours, they were absolutely wonderful. They made the wedding. And I love the Cockneys. I always have. And there is a pub still in Tottenham, which is a Cockney pub. And I go along there when I'm in Tottenham. It's lovely. I love the Cockneys.
Well, you know, that's where Chaz and Dave came from, those Cockney pubs in Tottenham.
Yeah.
And they could have played the piano all night long at your wedding. But what a great story. What an absolutely great story. I hope you put it down on paper and turn it into a Hollywood movie, because I think that would be fun. Albie, so Ben has told us what being a Cockney means to him. What about you?
Well, I'm not a Cockney. It will probably surprise many people to hear with a voice like
mine.
Hang
on, say that again in that voice. Say apples and pears. Can you do that?
No, I
knees
can't.
Up, Mother Brown.
Knees
up, Mother Brown.
Possibly.
Everybody could do knees up, Mother Brown. Come on.
No, I can't. Knees up, Mother Brown. But I don't think I sound convincing at all. Do I pass the test?
No.
Not at all.
No.
But I think one of the things on a more serious note that's really interesting is your other guests were just talking about how a lot of Cockneys have moved out to the countryside. And I think for people of my generation, you see a lot of these old pie and mash, what would have been pie and mash shops, and they've all been they're all part of luxury flat complexes, and they're all in these gentrified parts of London, like Brixton and Peckham and various parts of the East End. And I think a lot of places where Cockneys would have lived have really changed in the last 30 or so years. And so people of my generation, it's not really something which we are that familiar with, other than, when we might occasionally watch EastEnders at Christmas. So it's something, it's a sign that London has changed. And I don't know whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, but London has changed a lot. And so it's not necessarily something which young Londoners are as familiar with.
That's interesting though, Ben, isn't it? He's right. Albie's right, of course. I remember about 20 years ago, one of my friends who's like Cockney through and through and through, saying to me that he went to a wedding with all his extended family and he met, cousins that he hadn't met in a decade or whatever. And whereas before they would have all been, and I'm not stereotyping, this is what he actually said to me, whereas before his cousins would have all have been second-hand car salesmen, now they're all into property. You know what I mean? They're still Cockneys, but they're all into property, still talk like Cockneys, still have a penchant for the old jelly deals and all of that, but they're not. And you wonder, well, what's there left? Albie mentioned pie and mash shops. Surely there was more to being Cockney than that. You've suggested that culturally, or perhaps, in terms of all rallying together to support an event like a wedding, that they'll all put the effort in and make it good. I just wonder what else we can say about Cockneys. Why?
What I noticed was the warmth of the Cockneys and the friendliness and the camaraderie. And that's what's still existing in parts of London where there still are Cockneys. Long may it rain. And it's fantastic. I mean, I've got a lovely daughter, Lisa, and Maria. The only thing that's wrong with them, they support Arsenal.
Mate, I have the same problem. I have exactly the same problem. So I share your pain on that one. Flipping heck. Yeah, but if I show you my text messages, even today, all I was trying to do was just ask my friends, my Gooner friends, who was top of the league, because the whole season long, they've been reminding me who was top of the league every single 2-3 times a week, actually. And all I asked them today was, who is top of the league? Flipping out, why can't they just take it like good old Cockneys? If we have lost the culture, the warmth that you talk of, Ben, is that just a sign of the times?
It's not gone. I know plenty of Cockney people down where I am in Clacton.
That's funny, isn't it?
I talk to them all the time because
that is funny.
I used to work with some of them.
But that is funny, isn't it? That a lot of Cockney people down in Clacton. You're supposed to be within the sounds of Bow Bells from cradle to grave. You weren't supposed to leave those ends.
Well, the house prices. I mean, the house prices and cost of living in London has done that, and all the pollution and everything else. So therefore, that they've moved out, and that's what they've done, and they've brought their culture down here, and they're lovely. I'll never stop liking Cockneys because I'm surrounded by them.
Yeah. Albie, on a different note, the BBC chairman Richard Sharp, who arranged a loan, I think. Well, yeah, it was part of arranging a loan for former Prime Minister Boris Johnson. He's now resigned as chair of the BBC for not disclosing that when he applied for the job of chairmanship of the BBC. How could he have got it so wrong? These people are supposed to be so much cleverer than we are, and yet they make the fundamental mistake of not disclosing something that any fool can see would be a conflict of interest.
Yeah, it seems to me like a pretty big oversight on his part. And I think with a position like the chair of the BBC, which is essentially appointed by the government of the day, you would really expect all of those disclosures to be released. You would expect, the perfect behaviour from both government and BBC chairman. And in this case, that is just not what happened with Boris Johnson and Richard Sharp. And I think what we've seen with Richard Sharp's resignation is a real change in the way that the business of government and the BBC works. Had Boris Johnson still been Prime Minister, do you think any of this would have happened? I'm going to hazard a guess and say it wouldn't have happened because, of course, Richard Sharp was alleged to have helped the former Prime Minister quite a lot. So I think this is a welcome change from the shenanigans that we saw from the Johnson government last year, and a return to doing things properly.
Ben in Clacton, to what extent has this undermined the BBC? Because it doesn't seem to have undermined the Conservative Party, and as Albie said, it's the former Prime Minister now. I just wonder what the consequence of this has been for you, as I'm presuming still a licence payer and a
Yes.
BBC listener and viewer.
I love the BBC. I've always have. they've been dumbed down over the last few years because they've been always threatened with taking their license away, taking their license money away and all that. I mean, that's what's happened. And the corruption within the Conservative Party is still there. So therefore, I mean, it was corrupt all the way through. I've never, ever seen, I've been around a bit, and I would have voted for Super Macmillan, because he was a all nation Conservative. But since then, we've just had a load of people who are totally corrupt, and they're still corrupt. There's nothing changed much.
The winds of change over Africa was 60 years ago, Albie, for those who don't know who Harold Macmillan is. What about that accusation, though, Albie? The Conservative Party is still corrupt. After all this time, still corrupt. What's the matter with you lot?
No, I don't think the Conservative Party is corrupt. You know, I'm quite involved with Conservative Party politics, and I certainly haven't been privy to any corruption. But I also think it's important for the party to realise that the twilight of Boris Johnson's time as Prime Minister was not a good time for the party and has not painted us in a good light with potential future voters. I mean, everything that happened, I'd say from the Owen Paterson scandal until Boris Johnson stood down, was just a whole load of shenanigans, as I mentioned before, and it really has damaged the image not just of the Conservative Party, but of all politicians. The same thing happened with the expenses scandal. But I think now, with Rishi Sunak as the Prime Minister promising integrity and respect, and I think that's exactly what he's doing, hopefully things can get back on track in time for the local elections next week, and of course the general election at some point next year.
Ben in Clacton, very briefly, it sounds like Albie's a different kind of Conservative from the one that you're accusing of being corrupt.
I've researched Albie and I respect him because I was going to be talking to him anyway. So I have done a bit of research on yourself, Albie, and you seem a decent person. But Rishi Sunak, our present Prime Minister, was around when they were giving all these contracts to their cronies.
Mate, I've got to leave it there.
Billions on it. And that was corrupt, and he was around at that time before he became Prime Minister.
Okay, we'll do it again. Ben in Clacton, thanks very much, Albie. Really appreciate it. It's time for the 8 o'clock news.